Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Keaton and today I'm going to do an overview and delivery of a 2017 Mercedes-Benz E400 coupe. This is my personal vehicle, but it serves as an overview of a 2014 to 2017, which is post facelift of the W12 Mercedes E-Class. This is my personal vehicle again, really awesome car. The buttons and features will be congruent with the 2010 up to 2014 as well. It's just 2014 they had a facelift, which they changed some of the buttons and features as well as some of the exterior components of the car. This will also be pretty much the same from the E350 all the way up to the E550 and E63, if you will. There's just obviously some different buttons and features that won't be listed. The E400 is going to be pretty much in the middle of the lineup, but without any further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. Here down on the left, I have my trunk release. Pretty simple there, pretty self-explanatory. Over here are window controls. All of the windows are auto feature. In the coupe here, it's pretty cool because it's a pillarless design here, so I can actually put all the windows down and almost create like a coupe type of, or convertible type of appearance. I also have a window lock as well as your adjustments for your mirrors. Obviously left for the left side and right for the right. You do have the folding mirror feature, which is a button in the middle. You can bring those mirrors right in. You can also program that to lock fold in when you lock the vehicle. Up here are locks for our doors, as well as your adjustments for your seats. Pretty simple for the programming for the memory seat setting. So you'll just hit or hold M, and then you can select which one you like to program it in until you hear a beep. Really simple. Otherwise, I do like to mention here with the adjustment on your headrest, in this E-Class model, it is adjustable for this year. I can move my headrest up and down. You can probably hear it actuating behind me. But a lot of people and a lot of our models, people will actually break this headrest off on the passenger side, because a lot of the models, not in this model of course, but the top of this button will not be adjustable. So typically it's manual, but in this model it is adjustable. So try it out a little bit, but don't break the button off. Really important. Left here I have our rear fog light. So in Germany there's pretty heavy fog, so it gives you an option to turn on your rear fog light, obviously to illuminate the outermost portion of the vehicle, which is pretty neat. These are our light controls. Of course, you've got auto, low beam, high beam. You do have an option for parking lights, which you can kind of illuminate again to the left rear or the front of the vehicle, to kind of present if you're sitting in a parking space and you want it to just be illuminated. Pretty cool. Down here is our parking brake. Pretty simple. It is a manual release, which is pretty interesting for this year model. You would think that they would have an automatic release by this point, but it is not. Of course, center display here, pretty simple gauges. You got your fuel, temp, as well as center speedometer and tachometer to the right. These here are our wiper controls, pretty easy. You do have intermittent option, so the first two options are intermittent, and then the second two on the highest sections are for, of course, if you just kind of wanted to wipe. Otherwise, it'll sense how hard or severe the rain is and then turn them up as it sees fit. Otherwise, you have your pretty confusing cruise control here. You pull in to turn it on and then push out to deactivate it. And then as you can see, accelerate and decelerate will do it as 1 mile per hour as you're doing cruise control, or it'll go up to 5 if you give a long press. Adjustments for your steering wheel are here as well. Forward and back, backward and front, or forward and back, and then up and down, of course. You do have paddle shifters here, which is really cool. I just leave mine in auto, really simple there. This here is a trackpad for the center display here. So I can go up and down, left and right, go through my compass as well as audio. our service menu. I will say a lot of people aren't familiar with this, but if you go down to service menu and go to Assist Plus, this will tell you how far you are from your next service. So pretty useful there. Otherwise, it's just kind of a thing you can kind of play with and see your different options. Back button, pretty self-explanatory there. Here are our audio controls as well as Bluetooth. So of course I can accept or decline a call, mute or increase, decrease volume. You also have your Mercedes command system. So now Mercedes-Benz, as of 2020, I believe, is on a MBUX system, is what they refer to it as. This is the old system here. It's considered command, which I believe they used up through the early 2000s and onward. It gets the job done. It's not anything groundbreaking, but I can still have the capability to do Bluetooth, which is all I really need the system for. Here is your gear selector. Of course, it is column mounted, which a lot of people will turn on their wipers thinking they're turning, well, vice versa. People will think they're turning on their wipers when they're actually changing gear. Pretty interesting there. So when you get in a Mercedes, just be mindful. Otherwise, start stop button. Need I say more? Oh, actually, I will say more. This can actually come out of its housing and be used as a, you can enter the key in like it's a manual key, which is pretty cool. So if you ever have a dead battery or something like that and actually need to try to crank your vehicle, that's pretty useful there. Here is our center stack. Pretty easy and self-explanatory. You've got radio, media. Media is where you're going to channel all of your Bluetooth from, as well as if you had like a USB stick for your music. Navigation, of course. Telephone options, mute and Bluetooth connectivity. Here's just a button to get into your vehicle options, so you can kind of go through your different settings there. This model does have a CD player, which is pretty nice. I know some people are still holding on there, which is again, to each his own, pretty cool. And of course, in the center stack here, you get the par for the course analog clock that signifies it's a luxury car. Here to the right, you do have a keypad. I don't think I've ever touched that thing, but you know, it's there if you need it. Otherwise, I think this vehicle is equipped with every option available. I could be wrong on that, but there's only one blank switch. Otherwise, you have your heated and ventilated seats. With Mercedes heated seats, you actually have a staged heating element in your seat. So if you start off at the highest, it'll actually incrementally go down as you're sitting in the seat. I believe that was designed for liability reasons and maybe possibly things getting too hot. I'm not sure exactly why they do it, but you can turn on your your ventilated seats, excuse me, with no penalty like that. You can kind of just keep them on whatever setting. This here is your rear sunshade, which is pretty easy to use. Of course, you just hit one button and takes it backwards and forwards if you want to block some sun out. This here is your seatbelt presenters. This is going to be only on the coupe models and the convertible models. It'll present your seatbelt if you are sitting in your seat or when you get in the vehicle. So that way it's not as hard to get to. Otherwise, you do have your Eco Start Stop feature here. This will, of course, bring the vehicle to a somewhat of a hold, if you will. It'll turn the engine off to conserve fuel, and then it'll start back up when you put your foot on the gas. It's just kind of one of the features. I'm sure if you drive a vehicle in the, I'd say after 2018, it's going to have this. Not a feature I love. It's kind of a love or hate it thing, but one thing I do like to note to my customers, if the Eco Start Stop feature stops working, that typically means that your starter battery voltage is going low, because the vehicle has a brain in it that tells it when the voltage is safe enough to turn that system off. So if turn the engine off, excuse me. So if your start stop feature stops working, that's typically about the time you need to get a new starter battery. Outside of that, you have your climate controls here. Auto feature, of course, works pretty well, works like a thermostat in your home. The rest of these items are pretty much going to be standard across the board when it comes to owning a vehicle with climate control. Pretty simple there. My only gripe with this system is that your cup holders are right here. So if you have anything here in your cup holders and you need to make an adjustment on your climate control, they're usually in the way. All right, here we have our, I use it as a coin holder, but obviously that's an ashtray. And then you do have your cigarette lighter or 12-volt charger. Here in the coupe models, you also have, or coupe models, at least the E400, are going to have these dynamic driving modes. So I have Eco, Sport, and Manual. As I hit them, of course, you'll see that I get a red S as well as a white M for those different driving modes. So choose them wisely. Of course, they're pretty self-explanatory. The vehicle always starts in E. So if you want that sport mode to, start, you'll have to hit that every time you get in the vehicle. This center knob here, of course, controls the center command screen. You also have a back button and then a favorites button where you can select and save your favorites. This button here, I have no idea what it does. Somebody can probably leave some information in the comments, or if they know what that does. I believe it clears out anything you may enter in. I haven't tried it yet, but I've hit it just kind of randomly, and it does nothing. Otherwise, this button here that says off, of course, will turn your center screen off if you want just a more clean view. But outside of that, the only thing that I have else to mention is your lumbar support here, which is an added option. It's a little bit of an overkill. It's not too much more than what a regular lumbar support would do, but you can adjust your bolsters and things like that with this pressurized system. If it was an option that I went to build the car, I wouldn't say that it's something that's necessary for sure. All right, moving up here to our final items. So up here is your SOS feature. You kind of have a drop down there for SOS. Mercedes does no longer support Embrace, so you cannot get pretty much any roadside assistance that's Mercedes purchased after, I want to say 2019. If it's still using a command system over the new MBUX system, these systems are going to be not available. So your SOS as well as these two buttons are pretty much blank switches at this point. You do have your sunroof control, one touch, it's automatic. Of course, I've got the coupe model, so panoramic sunroof looks pretty nice. And of course, the next touch will bring it all the way back. You can also open it up incrementally if you like. Then you have your reading lights here that illuminate underneath the rear view mirror for either side. And then you do have the dome lights here that illuminate, as well as the rear dome light on the very back. And the last button, last but not least, is your button for toggling on and off if you want the doors to open up with each press. Or excuse me, if you want the lights to turn on with each press. So yeah, that is an overview again of a 2014 to 2017 Mercedes-Benz E class. Again, this is pretty much going to be standard for a E350, E400, E550, and E63. Again, there's going to be some options that are here that aren't in other models and vice versa. But you guys get the drift, and leave any comments or questions, concerns in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to try to get the answer for you. See you in the next one.